Daniel Day submissive, likes eating poison mushrooms. This is Spoilers.
This is Spoilers.
Heyo.
Welcome to Spoilers. It's just me and Jordan tonight. Jordan, what's up?
How's it going, man?
Not too bad. I'm having a little bit better time than you. You hated the Phantom Thread.
I wasn't a huge fan.
What did you not like about it?
It's just dull. I came away from it, and I think the big question in my mind was, can you have classical music with good acting and like pretty good cinematography with no story, and is it still a good movie? Because the story just isn't there for me at all. Like, I think the performances were solid to pretty good, and everything else about the movie was pretty solid, and the story is just nothing. I don't know. What did you think?
I feel like it's a movie with a lot of good ingredients, but I don't know if it's like a fun movie to watch in a lot of ways. I feel like it's kind of like a classical book you have to read in high school or something.
Ooh, I like that.
Like, it's like it's you can recognize that it's really good, but it doesn't make it like enjoyable to like intake. It's like the Great Gatsby of movies. Like, you know, it's like you probably should see it. I mean, we should also mention that we're recording this on January 23rd, 2018, the day that 2018 Oscar nominations were announced. And this pulled down 6 big Oscar nominations. Let me just get your reaction to each one. First and foremost, Best Actor in a Leading Role, Daniel Day-Lewis. Deserving?
Meh. I think we kind of talked in the Jim Carrey documentary podcast about, like, is method acting like a legit thing, and I think Daniel Day-Lewis is like known for that sort of approach. Mm-hmm. I think he's pretty good, but I think he just plays like kind of a dull artist that like has to be in his shit all the time, and so I don't think that's like the most challenging role to like blow up every 5th minute on some girl.
He is like extremely excuse me. He is extremely restrained and subdued in his performance. Like, he has this weird cadence of speaking, and his character is very OCD. The character's name, by the way, is Reynolds Jeremiah Woodcock, and I think that last name,
Mr. Woodcock.
Yeah, Woodcock. That's not unintentionally phallical. Like, this is very much a story of like a man and a woman, and specifically a man with mommy issues. So like, did you pick up what happened to his mom? Like, why? Did she die or something?
I was very confused about that as well. That's one of the things that I wanted to ask you about. Like,
yeah,
what? Yeah, like, I feel like I was missing something there.
Well, I mean, if it is mentioned, it's mentioned at the very beginning. Like, he goes on this date, and he's like all talking about his mom, like how awesome she was and whatever. He's also like the world's greatest fashion designer, but.
Was she a dressmaker too?
Yeah, she taught him how to make dresses. That was like the thing.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's like obsessed with his mom, and then like the whole rest of the story is basically like the interplay of him, Mr. Woodcock, and his dealings with the other women in his life. One of them being his sister, who's played by Leslie Manville. Her name was Cyril Woodcock, and she also garnered a Best Actress in a Supporting Role nomination. Deserving of that, Jordan?
Wait, did Vicky Creeps, did she get any nominations in here too? Because I thought that she was much more compelling than Cyril.
She did not get a nomination, and I think this is like her first thing, Vicky Creeps. The Muse character, right? I guess.
Yeah, I would say so, and like his love interest on and off. I think that Cyril was also pretty, like, kind of like Sir Woodcock here, was pretty like one-dimensional, and I thought that Vicky Creeps' character Alma who does, like you said, play the muse, I think that she at least had some like depth to her. Like she kind of surprised us towards the middle and end, I guess. And I don't know. I think that I felt like she shone more than either of the other two, for me at least.
Daniel Day-Lewis, 26 years older than Vicky Krieps, by the way. Big age difference.
And
there.
Looks every bit.
Yeah. I guess main spoiler too. So the relationship between Daniel Day-Lewis and Vicky and Leslie, like I said, is definitely like the center of the movie. Cheryl is always like, she's such a stone cold bitch in a lot of ways. Like she's just like so like emotional, and like when Reynolds turns to her for help, like she just shuts him down all the time. Like she says like, you're nothing without me, like, and like that I guess that kind of like him seeking pain is kind of what comes up at the end of the movie, because Alma feeds him poison mushrooms once a little bit and he gets sick, and then they fall like more in love, and then she does it again.
So weird.
And so like the very last shot of the movie, like she like dumps a whole big thing of poison mushrooms and a big thing of butter, which he knows he hates, and like he realizes what's going on and he eats it anyway, and it turns out like he's into feeling sick and like her like taking care of him, like he's like seeking out that mommy role.
I think that they're kind of, the relationship between these three is pretty well fleshed out, like in one of the first scenes, or at least like in the first 20-30 minutes, when he brings Alma home for the first time to his like estate and takes her upstairs to like his design room where he has like all this fabric and stuff, and he like strips her down to just like her nightgown or like whatever it's called that you wear under like a bunch of dress things.
And Alma thinks it's like sexy time too. Like she's like smiling, she's like getting into it, but
yeah, she loves it. She like feels, yeah, like she thinks it's sexy time, as you say, Pappy. Yeah. It's business time. And
he's got his business socks on. Mr. Woodcock down to his business sock.
And then Cyril comes up the stairs like into this attic space that they're in, and she like sits down with a book, and they proceed, Woodcock proceeds to like read out the girl's measurements, like Alma's measurements, and he's like, "You have no breasts." She's like, I know, I'm sorry. It's just a weird like power dynamic. And he's like reading out the measurements to his sister, and so she's like also criticizing her at the same time, and it kind of sets up like a weird vibe, like they're up until she poisons him, at least I think.
Like the three of them are always like in a power struggle at any given moment, right?
Yeah.
Like it's either like him blowing up on Alma, or like Cyril just totally like manhandling him, or like he'll get on a power trip because like he'll have like a big sale or something. But like he also like, he's such a goofy character. Like he has like this like dress sale, and then like that also makes him sick. And that's kind of like the first taste that Alma gets, that like, oh, if I'm like motherly to him.
Yeah.
And one of the other scenes too is when he's sick. I think one of the best scenes in the whole movie is like, the movie is so monotone in tone the whole time. And like at one point he eats the shrooms, and like I thought I was gonna go in like in a more psychedelic direction, but like he sees his mom.
Dude, same.
He sees his mom in the bedroom, like the ghost of his mom, and like it's such like a actual moment of something happening in the narrative compared to like everything else. It's like so jarring. Like, did you like that part? What were you thinking when the mom shows up?
I mean, I can't say that I liked it. No, I had two other favorite parts.
Okay.
One is, which I think you've said is your favorite movie line of the year.
What precisely is the nature of my game?
Yeah, Pappy, you've posted that on Instagram and Twitter so far, I think, with the SpongeBob.
As many places
I don't know what
as I
he's
can.
Supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
In the group thread, everywhere.
The mocking SpongeBob meme is what I used.
So that was one of my favorites, and then also the scene during breakfast where they turn the mic volume on Alma all the way up when she's buttering her toast, and he just loses his shit on her, and just because she's like scraping butter across her toast. And I think it's like double because he perceives it as being really loud, but also he hates butter so much.
Dude, yeah, it just keeps going back to how much he hates butter. Like, he blows up several times.
I don't know what butter ever did to him, but
I'm surprised the sound design, I guess, didn't get a nomination, because they pretty much nominated everything else.
yeah.
Even though that didn't, the score was nominated by the score by Johnny Greenwood. I don't know what else he's done, but while I check on that, what do you think about the score? I thought it was one of the more catchy, memorable scores of the year.
Yeah, I really like the score, and like I made a joke about it earlier. Like, can you have a movie with just like classical music playing behind it? But it's not just purely classical to be classical. It does, like, I think it really kind of ties the movie together and keeps things rolling and keeps you intrigued, I guess.
Yeah, there's like
without that, I think it would really fall apart and be even more dull than I already thought it was.
There's like the one main theme called Phantom Thread, and then they do it like 3 times. Like once is with piano, like once is with strings, and then there's like the one at the end. Phantom Thread. When you leave the theater, then that's like playing over the credits. It's like super catchy. I could see this maybe sneaking one away from The Shape of Water. But one I think it's definitely going to win Best Achievement in Costume Design, the 4th of its nominations. Jordan, you know a lot about 19th century dressmaking. Were the dresses accurate? What are your opinions on those?
Yes. No, that's actually one of the things that I didn't necessarily notice because it's not something that I'm knowledgeable about during the movie, but that's one of the things that's come up a lot as I've read like opinion pieces and like quick reviews on IMDb and stuff, that like the costume design is very accurate to the time period. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say that a lot of the dresses are beautiful and stuff, like in a classical dress sort of way. But like I have no way of knowing if they match the time period of like the mid-50s post-war London. And from everything that I've seen, it is very accurate to the time. They
don't get too much into like the changing like it's just like taken for granted, oh, he's a genius. Like he kind of loses it a little bit towards the middle, but that's because he needs to like get sick again or something. But
yeah, I
mean, it doesn't really delve into his business or like the changing fashions or anything like that. It's just kind of like an excuse to have these two people fall in love. You know what I mean? He could have been like really good at anything. Like he could have been a movie a director. He could have been super passionate about anything. The real story is like the interplay and the power struggle.
Yeah. That's been a few of the like kind of tidbits that I've seen also in those same reviews that I've been reading, is this kind of Paul Thomas Anderson making a statement about like being a perfectionist, and like is the dressmaking like an analogy to like making a movie, and like every thread is like a different part of the movie as you're stitching them together. I don't know if that really holds up under any scrutiny. But there was one thing. So early in the movie, this is in the trailer too, so it kind of sticks out. He makes a comment about how he would like sew messages into dresses and like do secret things like in the seams of stuff, and like he mentions it, and it doesn't go anywhere. Like that's what I like
Not
picked
at
up
all.
from the
Yeah.
trailer, is like, oh, like maybe this will be like something interesting, and he's got like, I don't know, like it's not going to be like a Da Vinci Code, but
Mhm.
I don't know, something along that trail, and it just like never comes up again. Like, what? Did you make anything in
No,
that?
I'm glad you mentioned the trailer because I feel like the trailer is super misleading. Like, and like the lines that they do pull, like,
Yes.
there's one line where he says something like, "There's a shadow of death over this house." It's really just him in the context of the movie being melodramatic about her presence.
Yes.
But then the way they use it in the trailer, it's like people are dying and shit. You know what I mean? Like any like
yeah,
even
you think he's
yeah.
going to kill her.
Yeah, and she doesn't even really try to kill him. Really, you know what I mean? Like it's more of a weird form of bonding they have. I don't know.
Yeah, to like reel him in back to her, kind of.
Yeah. On the perfectionist note, though, that's interesting because I was looking at or watching this interview with him and your brother Josh's favorite director Ryan Johnson, and
Ayo.
he mentions that like Daniel Day-Lewis was very involved in the writing of the script. Not so much that he was writing, but that like Paul Thomas Anderson was constantly bringing the script as he was writing it to Daniel Day-Lewis and like getting ideas from him and bouncing ideas off and stuff. So like it could have easily just been about like Daniel Day-Lewis's pursuit of perfection as much as PTA's.
That's
but
a fair point. Okay, yeah, I can dig that.
PTA did get Best Achievement in Directing, and this was nominated for Motion Picture of the Year. Jordan, I'm going to gather that this probably wasn't one of your favorite movies of the year then? You wouldn't put it up there?
I mean, it's right there behind Boss Baby, so
Oh, shit.
make of that what you will.
Boss Baby also nominated for an Academy Award this year.
I mean, let me be completely honest. I lost our Oscar prediction game last year, so I have no like real credibility when it comes to predicting how these movies will do.
You're playing again this year, though, right?
I might recuse myself.
No, you have to. You have to defend your loss.
I lost by so many points last year. I'm gonna have to do some work to actually watch some of the movies this year, though, because last year I was not as into it and just kind of threw some down.
But doesn't this feel like a movie that the Academy of Motion Pictures and whatever arts and crafts would love? Like it feels like it. Like I said, it has all of the pieces that like it checks all the boxes for like a classic.
Yeah, I think so. Like it's a period piece, and it's like well done, like cinematography wise, good score, like we've talked about. I would say the performance, like we said before, the performances are all pretty good. Obviously, like we argued over the Alma versus Cyril actress nomination. So yeah, I mean, I would agree that it's kind of got all those things. It's got a very prominent actor and a very prominent director at this point. But I definitely think I've seen several other movies this year that have it beat out by a mile,
But
personally, for me.
Would you give it a yes or no on our binary rating scale?
I've softened a bit on it, like after giving it a few days, because I did watch this like Sunday afternoon and it's Tuesday as we're recording. It's still a no for me. There were a couple other of our spoilers co-hosts have been talking about it in the group chat, and I haven't said it explicitly, but I can't wait to just say like, guys, don't waste your fucking time. Like like I said before, it's dull, and I think there's lots better movies that you can watch. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you in that. Like when I left the theater, I was pretty kind of pissed because it didn't like give me a lot like in the theater as far as an experience. Like it wasn't that interesting. I kept waiting for something to happen when like the littlest thing, like I said, does happen, like a ghost or a hallucination shows up. It's just like, oh yeah, there's like actually things that can happen in a narrative rather than just like weird Germanic unplaceable accents. But the more that I've thought about it, it's just such a weird movie, and like I've been trying to figure out like what is he trying to say with this, and even like having this conversation with you I think has been interesting. So I'm gonna give it a yes. Like I think that if you watch this movie, you watch it from the perspective of like, oh, I just like really appreciate film and I want to see like almost like Shakespearean elements playing out. But that being said, like I didn't have fun when I watched it. Like I have more fun talking about it with you than like actually watching the movie.
Yeah.
I get why it's nominated for a lot of awards, and I wouldn't be surprised if it like popped up on like, you know, like an AFI 100 list, just because it's the kind of thing that critics eat up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you say that because you've kind of brought it up twice now. Is that it feels like a classical novel or like a Shakespearean like play of some kind. You know, like it has that feel of like a, at least to me, like there's things going on and I don't understand the point all the time.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's dramatic, but like part of that is because of the background and like the music and stuff. And so I feel like it's more dramatic than it maybe actually is. And so I don't know. And I addressed it earlier. I think the story is lacking. Like you said, the narrative, like there's a few points where it kind of gets interesting and you're like, like what's going to happen? But I feel like nothing ever comes of it, really.
Well, there's a difference between like what happens in a movie and what a movie's about. I think like what this movie's about is pretty interesting. Like a man who's kind of like a man-child with like mommy issues who like has this weird power dynamic struggle. But like I said, that could have been placed in like any setting, and like, you know, there will be blood. That also could have kind of been anywhere in a lot of ways, but like building wells and shit blowing up and stuff, that's awesome. Like this is just so like this is just not like what I'm into. But yeah. I get why people love it, and I get every opinion on it. If you hate it or if you love it, I can completely understand it. But I'll give it a yes. So it's 1 yes, 1 no. What food would that make this, Jordan?
Day old something. I don't know. Does it have to be milk related still?
I don't know. But
how about like some cereal that's been sitting around for a while? It's pretty soggy, but could still eat it.
How about some sautéed woodcock?
That's all you, man.
All right. Well, that was spoilers. Listen to our other episodes where we break down older movies. We call those movie review episodes. Other than that, take it away.
What do we have coming up, Pappy?
Ooh, we have the 150th epiversary episode, where it's a trivia night extravaganza recorded right before Thanksgiving. And we also
who's been editing that?
Nobody. It's just been sitting on the shelf.
I thought that might have been lost on the cutting room floor for a while. It's been months.
We have the loser of that's punishment episode following shortly after. We have Willow, hosted by Mikey, and then we have the Oscar Pick'em show coming up in the middle of February, where Jordan will be defending his title as the worst Oscar predictor in spoilers.
What did I have to host last year as punishment? It was the one with Jeff Goldblum and
oh shit,
what was it called?
With Robin Williams.
Yeah.
The Fisher King.
Yeah, the Fisher King.
See what movie Jordan will host this year. Thanks for listening. That was spoilers.
Twitter is @spoilers_pod. Our Instagram is podcast spoilers. It's lit. Subscribe on SoundCloud or iTunes. Please don't forget to leave us a review by searching for movie spoilers, clicking on the cereal bowl, select the reviews tab, and leave us some stars and some words. That was spoilers.
What precisely is the nature of my game?